All right, this is the next episode in Saving Barbara. We're about ready to have some fun now. Could have some great fuel leaks or not. I have installed the rewinder from the TORO mower that I may move this whole engine to a TORO because it's a big engine, and I think the crankshaft may be long enough to handle a TORO blade adapter. I think I've got one somewhere. Anyway, the Toros use a weird, as you guys probably know, use a weird blade. It's unique to them, I'll put it that way. It's curved, so it won't just fit on anything. Or I could use a different adapter and modify it so it fits on the this engine and not a TORO adapter. But what's going on with this now is I've got a new, it's an old rewinder, but at least it works. See it starts, it engages, the dogs engage. The other one was random at best. And I've installed I took out the little weird piece of hose clamp that was here. I don't know why that was there. I've installed the arm that runs from the carburetor to the muffler and it connects to that thermostat over there. And I just wanted to show you that this works. And this is what you need to check. Even if you put a brand new carburetor on, this has to work this way with the little spring, and this metal piece here that the spring attaches to is under this. It's not on the outside of this. And what you want to see is free movement of this arm. You don't want any drag. And I've had new carburetors that would kind of be rough and drag. Well, this, as you can see, this is flopping around, just boing, boing, boing. And that's what you want. And you need to have this loose so that when that thermostat heats up over there and starts to move that little metal arm that looks like a spoon with a hole in the end of it, is going to touch the end of this, and as it warms up rather quickly, it'll go whoop, and it'll move this out of the way, and that gets that choke plate out of the way, and then it runs like a regular carburetor without a self-priming feature, because then the fuel mixture is going in, and the only thing affecting it then is this throttle on the inside here, and this throttle spring controlling that, and the automatic governor. So that then is controlling how much fuel and gas mixture is going in there, and the automatic governor, which is what this metal arm here, I don't know if you can see my finger, let me get something to point here. This metal arm that attaches to that plastic runs back, that's the automatic governor. So if it gets to running too fast, this thing will push it and close that. So this is all working good. And what I'm going to determine now is if this old carburetor, which is actually clean on the inside, is going to leak or not. And they usually do, be honest with you. And they're this old, but you know, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you get lucky. So I've got everything connected, got the fuel tank on with just one screw because I'm afraid it'll come off. And let me show you, if it does start leaking, I want to have my clamp handy. What I use is a pair of vice grips, kind of needle nose vice grips, but I don't want to tear up the hose with metal, so I slip a couple of fuel line hose pieces over the end of it. And I'll put that on there if I need to, if it starts to leak, you know. But what'll happen, it'll start bubbling up around there because the needle seat's dirty or old or whatever, and it'll start dripping, and then I'll clamp that down to stop the leak and take it off and put a new carburetor on there. But I need to get some pliers here to put that hose clamp on. Hang on. So I've got it over here. And now got the hose clamp there in place, and I use these flat end pliers. Are wonderful for hose clamps. All right, I'm going to put a little fuel in here now, and cross my fingers that it doesn't leak. Otherwise, I'll put a new carb on there. I'm going to count to about 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's probably enough. That'll be enough fuel to move down to the carburetor. And you and I are going to sit here and talk about mowers while I wait to see if this thing's going to leak. I finally got around to checking the oil in this thing, and sometimes these old mowers, I get them, there's no oil, and there'd be trouble, or there's too much oil. This one has too much oil, so I'll have to empty that out, and I'll do that probably by turning on its side. Not one of my favorite things to do, but that's a quick, fast way to get about a cup or two of oil out of there, because that's how much it's over. And let me show you that. The oil in this mower is really pretty clean, but there's too much of it. See, it's above. It's kind of hard to see in this camera, but it shouldn't be above that top hole. And it's actually up there. So it's probably a cup or two more in there, and that raises the pressure inside the engine. And if you put enough in there, it'll start to burn it and even lock it up. But for now, I'm going to leave that alone, and then empty a little bit of that oil out. It won't take much, probably just a teacup or two is too much. And the good news is this carburetor's not leaking. That doesn't mean it's going to run right, but we're going to give it a chance. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to unscrew this one screw that was holding this on, because I need to attach that dipstick. I've got it twisted out of the way, because this was all just temporary, just to see if this thing is going to leak or not. And that still doesn't mean it's not going to leak. It may leak after I get it all together. You never know with these things, especially with these old carburetors. All right, so we got that out of the way. I'm going to swing this back down again, and also show you this, because as I pointed out to you before, the previous owner had this wrong. This is now under, and that's under, and that's over. And that keeps this plate, which is very flexible. And I've had them be so flexible that every time that magnet would come around the flywheel, they'd pull this in and go clunk, 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 clunk. And obviously you don't want that. So what I'm gonna do now is go over here and see, I've swung this dipstick tube out of the way, and I'm gonna swing it back and install it. So I'm just gonna lift this up just enough to kind of get it in place, and then push it back down. I'm gonna put this in the holster. No, rocket science there. Let me go ahead and install that. And I always like to push down on the dipstick while I'm tightening it. make sure it's seated well. One of my little shoulder screws, there's one. So that's good. I'm pushing down now. Okay. I'll check that to see how loose it is. Sometimes they're loose whether you like it or not, but let me see if I can tighten it by hand. So I'm going to push down. Okay. It's a little bit loose, but it's okay because there's a gasket on the bottom of that dipstick. Some are a little loose and some aren't. Let's see, I do need to get my gloves on. Hang on a second. All right, we're gonna take a break, so stay tuned. We're gonna come back and work on this mower some more. Stay with me.